Good morning, y'all. It's backhand claps. Back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about female rap, and is female rap actually taking over hip hop? Because I don't know if other people are saying it, but I was looking on the Billboard charts and I was seeing a bunch of female rappers on the list. A lot of female rappers I might have not known before, or some that I barely recently discovered, like someone like Ice Spice. I've never listened to a full song by Ice Spice, so I'm not talking about them as artistry, like if they're good artists or not. Some of them I know, like Nicki Minaj, of course, you've heard a Nicki Minaj song. She's been relevant for almost 20 years. And also Cardi B, some of the biggest songs in the last 10 years she made. But more importantly, I'm talking about the newer artists. Some of them, which you would call like Glorilla, Sexy Red, Ice Spice. Those are the ones that I think are the most prevalent right now. So I just did my research. I've been doing my research on music for the longest because I used to make music. I still make music myself, but I used to make music myself, wanting to be a mainstream artist. Now I make music just because I love making music. I put it out still. If one day something happens, then I'm gonna be there. I got more music and I got more ideas, but that's not the point here. The point here is the female artist. Is female rap even a good route to go? Something I noticed about female rap that most rappers, like the male rappers, don't really happen is female rappers, they don't really drop albums, because the thing I noticed is a lot of female rappers, they don't sell well. They might get a big song here, they might have a big buzz on social media. Like, it's so easy for a female to go and get millions of views on Instagram, but not really have anything that they do specifically that people like to see, other than liking who they are as a person or their personality. So, like, a lot of these girls that I'm going to name have millions of subscribers, or at least a million followers on Instagram, but their music, they have moments in their music, but their overall music don't translate. And that's pretty much the discussion here today. So I'll just give you some examples. For example, Glorilla, she has like one or two hit songs, maybe more. Um, I know that she kind of came out last year, but when I went to her Wikipedia page and I wanted to see, like, let's see her discography, because your discography means a lot when you're a musician. If you go and you look at Kendrick Lamar's discography, you will go and see that even before he dropped Section 80, he had multiple mixtapes. He had some non professional albums. I wouldn't say they're not professional albums. They just weren't studio albums, like professionally made. I mean, major label albums. Major label albums is what I meant to say. Major label albums. I think Section 80. They don't even really call Section 80 a major label album, because I believe he wasn't even a part of Interscope at the time, or it might have been the one right before that. I might be mistaken, but if you look at Kendrick Lamar's discography, you will see that he was actively rapping for 10 years before he got his chance. Now, when you go on Glorilla, I don't really know if she has mixtapes or anything, because sometimes Wikipedia doesn't show mixtapes, but you can definitely see she's been out for a year. She hasn't dropped an album. You could see the same thing with Sexy Red. You can see the same thing with Ice Spice. Loray actually dropped an album, but her album really didn't do good, and she came back this year with a single that made it to the Billboard charts. So she's actually actively in the mainstream realm still. She didn't just fall off. But then you'll see someone like Sweetie. She blew up for a second. She had a song, and she still don't have an album out. Um, but then I remember Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj has this verse in her song. It says, uh, she said, 100K for a verse, no album out. And that's, I think, on the song with Kanye West. And she was bragging about how she gets her feature verse sells high, even though she doesn't have an album out. But the difference between Nicki and someone like Coi Leray is that Nicki has a catalog now, and it's a catalog that no female rapper really can compete with. So there are women in the music industry that has in the hip hop music industry that has made a name for themselves, a standing name for themselves. And the people that I would say that are currently still rapping would be Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, and Megan Thee Stallion. Because Megan Thee Stallion, even though she might not be up there in status right now, when she dropped, I believe, 2 albums, and one of her albums either went gold or platinum. I don't know about the most recent one. And then there's the questionable list. I have what's her name? Doja Cat. Doja Cat is labeled as a rapper, and we all know Doja Cat has the number one song in the country right now. So I'm not saying Doja Cat isn't established, but Doja Cat is a blend of pop music, R&B, and rap. And then if you look at someone else on the list that is considered a female rapper, Lizzo. Lizzo had actually 2 albums before she actually started to gain traction, and those 2 albums were rap based albums. When she transitioned over to more of a pop slash R&B style, they still consider her a rapper because she still raps at her core. Is when she started to really gain momentum. And then you got other people like Summer Walker. Summer Walker is completely an R&B artist, but she still breaks into that realm just slightly. So another thing I want to say is I don't see a lot of people giving Nicki Minaj credit for the fact that Nicki Minaj, when Cardi B was on her rise, Nicki Minaj was on her downfall, and they put them against each other. But Nicki Minaj's work ethic and all the features that she was hopping on, like just knowing that she wasn't ready to quit, she brought her career back, and she will be dropping an album later this year, and we'll see how that does. If that does good, then we'll know that Nicki is still up there. Um, I was gonna say a new act that I think is gonna break into the realm once she drops her album. You're gonna see that she actually has a fan base. Is Ice Spice. Ice Spice is gonna break the trend of all these new artists that you see. There's so many female artists now that literally just come in with some type of fire. They have a song, people are liking them, and then 2 months later, 3 months later, 4 months later, you don't hear about them again. Yeah. So yeah, and that's why I question, if you're a female, should you rap, or should you just go straight to R&B, or should you do pop? Because one of the biggest artists in the world right now, and it's not a rapper, is Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift has, as of last week, what is it, September 15th, the week of September 15th, or the week of September 9th or 10th, I'm not sure. Yeah, but last week, from the day I dropped this video last week, Taylor Swift had 9 albums in the top 500. I mean, in the top 50 on the Billboard 200 charts. That might not mean anything to someone who doesn't care about the numbers, but how hard that is. Most of these albums have been released over 2 years ago. She probably only dropped 1 album that's in the top 100 within the last year, but almost all her albums are on the Billboard 200 charts, and it's a weekly thing. Taylor Swift is probably one of the biggest artists in the world. So if you look at Taylor Swift and you look at Doja Cat and you look at Lizzo and you look at SZA, to me, I think the route of being a female rapper is a small niche audience that not everybody is open to seeing. Like, let's go back to Sexy Red, because Sexy Red is one of the girls that's making a name for herself right now. She's pretty new to me. I've only heard about her for like the last 2 weeks. She has a song that is trending, and she actually dropped an EP, because that's the thing that they do with these female artists. Instead of dropping an album, they'll either have them drop an EP or maybe a mixtape, and they do this with male artists too. But typically those male artists, when they drop their EP, like let's say Lil Uzi Vert, he drops his EP. That EP or that mixtape, let's say Lil Uzi Vert versus the World, that mixtape actually gains traction and actually do numbers. Sexy Red though, her EP is actually doing numbers. It's right. It's a slow build. It's more like someone like Rod Wave. When Rod Wave drops his first album, it was low on the charts, but it started to rise because of his popularity and because of his songs gaining traction. Sexy Red currently is on the Billboard 200 with an EP at 75, and it's progressing. And that's pretty impressive because an EP, if you know an EP, it's an extended play. An LP is different than an EP. An EP is pretty much a condensed, shortened version of either a mixtape or an album. So maybe your EP might have 4 songs on it, it might have 7 songs on it. It's not going to have an album's worth of music and an album's worth of time. And to be able to have something that may have only 4 to 5 songs on there and still be on the Billboard 200 charts is pretty impressive, because some people drop a full-length album and never make the Billboard charts. Ice Spice's EP peaked at 15. This is why I'm saying Ice Spice she's gonna make a name for herself. She's already made a name for herself, but she's gonna keep dominating this female realm of hip hop. I just did a little bit of research and I looked up the Billboard 200 albums for 2022, and the only female rappers that made the list for their albums that they dropped in 2022 is Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. The funny thing about this is that Cardi B didn't drop an album in 2022. I believe she dropped her album in, I think, 2019, which is Invasion of Privacy, which shows you how influential and impactful that album was if it's still one of the top 200 albums in a year it wasn't even dropped, and that's like 3 years later. And Cardi B hasn't really been putting out music. She has hits since then, but she hasn't really been putting out music. And I kind of think that she's scared to put out a song right now by herself, because all the songs that I see her on, I don't listen to them, but all the songs I see her on are mainly features. And then Billboard does a bunch of lists. One list that they do is an artist list. So they rank all the artists based off of their Billboard entries throughout the year. And for Doja Cat, like I said, Doja Cat, to me, she is a rapper because they label her as a rapper, but I feel like she's in that pop blend. She's more of a pop artist at this point than a rapper, but Doja Cat was number 17 on the artist list. I have SW here, so I just need to. Summer Walker. Summer Walker is another R&B artist, made number 22 on the list. Summer Walker did not drop an album this year. Summer Walker, I think, hasn't dropped an album in 2 years, I believe. So for her to be on this list means something as well. But that's because her previous project before this one, Over It, is actually the project that is her better known project. Now we have Megan Thee Stallion. I think she dropped that album, Traumazine, and that album helped her get to number 64. And then you got Lizzo. Lizzo, I would have thought would have been way higher on this list, but she's 81. And this is surprising to me because we know Nicki Minaj has like 4 projects, and she hasn't dropped an album in a while. She hasn't dropped an album since the same year Cardi B dropped an album. But like I said, Invasion of Privacy still got Cardi B to have a top 200 album of last year. So I just wanted to say that I think that if you're a female rapper and you want to if you're a female rapper and you want to get into the music industry, I think if you're a female artist and you want to get into the music industry, I think your best bet is to go a pop route or an R&B route. R&B in general is going to be here for a long time, and pop is going to be here for a long time. They stand the test of time, in my opinion. But one thing that I want to note before I end this video is that I did research. I didn't want to just come into this blindly giving you false information or little information. I looked at a lot of lists about female rappers, and they're talking about a lot of female rappers. And I know that they don't judge this list based off of lyricism, but one artist that I cannot not name if I'm going to make a video about female rappers is Raspity. Raspity doesn't get the love that she deserves. She's actually a very good lyricist and a very good songwriter, and I just think that she should get a little bit more appreciation. I'm not trying to talk down upon any of these other female rappers. Bia is another female rapper on this list. She has a verse that she kept up with J. Cole on the same song. So there are other female rappers that are out here that are killing it with these bars. And Nicki Minaj, for years, has been keeping up with these guys. And even Megan Thee Stallion at times she be keeping up lyrically. And Doja Cat, even though I say she's not a rapper, Doja Cat is a great writer. If she writes her music, she's a great writer. She's creative, and she's 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 willing to bend the needle, or whatever, however you say it. She's willing to push boundaries in her music, and that's what stands out, at least to me, about her. And I don't listen to female music really, unless it's R&B. I'm not gonna listen to female raps. There's nothing that they really are gonna say that's gonna make me impressed. It's not really my cup of tea, but this is my opinion. If you're a female and you want to get into the music industry, I think your best bet is to avoid the rap scene. All right, this is Backhand Claps, and I'm out.